Hey, how's it going? Today I'm going to talk a little bit about perspective and what do you call it? Overlapping. Overlapping is really big, and I'm going to be working on this sketch right here of Piccolo from Dragon Ball Z. So, yeah, that's kind of it. We're going to talk a little bit about that. So, let's kind of hop into it a little bit. I kind of took a break. I just needed a break for a little bit, but I'm kind of back. So, right off the bat, we're talking about Piccolo right here in foreshortening. So, I want to talk really fast about something called overlapping, and I think overlapping is probably one of the most important things that separates kind of a beginner artist, like a beginner artist from like a more intermediate to advanced artist. So I do want to talk a little bit about that whole thing. So real quick, I'm just going to kind of hop into it, to be honest. When we're thinking about something called overlapping, I can give you a simple example, and I've talked about this a few times. So right off the bat, let's go over here and I'm just going to do this in pencil so I don't have to, you know what? I'm going to go with pen. Just to kind of get the point across really quick. Let's get this little piece of paper over here. I'm going to do it on this side. So let's just say we have these two objects real quick. Let me put it up here actually. Let's just say we have these two objects, right? We have a triangle and we have a circle right here. We have these two objects on the page. Which one of these two objects is closer to us? Do you know? Which one is close to us? This one or this one? So the correct answer is we have no idea. We don't know which one of these objects are closer to us because we haven't really said it. You know, we haven't told the viewer to that. So the only way to do that is to go like this and draw them that way, right? Now we know the triangle is closer to us. We know that for a fact because we dictated that. We overlapped it. That's kind of, and then same thing in reverse, right? All of a sudden now we're like, oh, okay, the circle is closer to us, right? It could be, if this triangle's far away, it could be like, I don't know, a pyramid or, you know what I mean? Some huge structure. Same thing with this. It could be like, oh, is that a moon? Is that a ball? What is that? Right? We don't really know that stuff until us as artists kind of make that obvious. And we have to do that. We have to do that with overlapping. So that's literally what we're doing on the body right here. So I'm doing this overlapping is I'm thinking about like his hand is closer to us than than his bicep over here. Right? And we know that this hand, because of that, we know, it kind of creates this like chain reaction in our head. And we know since his hand is closer than this, then we know that this is attached to his arm. So we know his hand must be closer to us than his head, not just the scale of it, right? The scale is a whole other thing, obviously. It's incorporated into that. But just how big it is obviously matters. But that's something really important, right? You have to do that as an artist. You have to overlap these things. Because I think one of the things that everybody does in the beginning is your habit, I think, and I used to have this habit as well. When you're drawing like stuff, right? I used to have this habit as well. When you're drawing like stuff, right? Anything. Obviously when you're learning, you just want to draw the figure like normal, right? But you know, everybody kind of draws everything and you want to see everything. You know, you just want to like see every part of what's happening, right? When you draw like a face, right? You always want to, I don't know, have you ever seen this before where you're drawing a face and let's just say you're in 3/4 view, 3/4 meaning they're looking slightly that way, right? And then everybody wants to draw like the eyes the same. You want to draw the eyes both looking forward at you because we're used to seeing everything, but it's not really like that. You want to kind of turn the eye a little bit on the side and make it look a little bit shorter, right? That's what I mean. Like, so it's weird. It's a weird, uncomfortable thing because you're first learning anything in general. You want to show everything. But in reality, it's like you kind of have to force yourself to not do that in the beginning, and it's going to feel super weird. And that's pretty much what happened kind of with me and a lot of stuff, right? You just pretty much forcing yourself to draw in a certain way, and it starts to become natural after that. So it feels weird to draw this hand this big, right? Compared to his head. It feels super weird to me, but you just got to let it go. You got to let it, you're like, okay, cool. Like it's closer to the camera and that is what it is, you know? But that would be like a very, very quick broad strokes talking about overlapping. But yeah, we'll go over another little tip in a minute here. I just want to work on this guy for a second. I'm watching a lot of, stuff like this, and let me see. So like this right here as well. Remember the line technique? This right here, the line on his hand is probably going to be a little bit thicker than the line behind it, right? That's going to incorporate as well, because I want that thing to look a little closer. So I'm going to put a little bit more line on this guy, on Piccolo, in order to do that. I don't know if anybody watches Dragon Ball. I was a huge Dragon Ball fan when I was a kid, and now I'm a huge Dragon Ball fan as an adult. But what happened lately was I had never seen, even though I was a big Dragon Ball fan, I watched Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super, but I never watched, I forget Super. I never watched Super. I only watched Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball, the original one, and then Dragon Ball GT. But I never watched Super or read Super, right? So my cousin recently we recently connected again. And so what my cousin, me, and my sister started doing was every 2 weeks on Zoom, we'll watch 10 episodes of Super, and then we'll talk about it, kind of like a little book club or something, as a way to kind of reconnect. So I've started watching Super, and because I started watching Super again, now I'm watching Daima, which is going on right now, and it really got me into Dragon Ball again. So, and then my sister ended up giving me these Blu-rays of the original not the original, but yeah, of the Dragon Ball Z movies, right? There's I think there's 12 or 13. And I'm in a big Dragon Ball kick right now. So I'm probably be drawing a lot of Dragon Ball and stuff like that. If you look at my Instagram feed, there's tons of this stuff. But all right, I'm looking at this guy. I need this far hand in there because I didn't put this far hand in. He's got his fist kind of behind there. And a lot of it has to do with, that's a big overlapping as well, right? This overlapping all over this guy. Right there, his elbow is hidden behind there. This is where it also goes to pay off to think in 3D. His elbow is behind right there. I know that, right? I know his elbow is behind there. I am not going to draw that, right? But I'm thinking about it. I'm like, okay, if this goes like this, I'm going to do this here, like so. And then I'll draw a line here. And then, right, I know that's what's going to happen. His elbow's roughly around there. You got to think in 3D. You got to think about, showing the viewer, about overlapping. I'm going to erase some of this pencil stuff right here on his bicep. I just think it gets in the way. In the beginning, I'm just kind of scribbling in all kinds of stuff. And you're slowly focusing in kind of like a lens, right? Or when you focus in an image, you're slowly trying to focus it in. And that's kind of the way it is in your mind, right? You scribble ideas, you think of a pose, and then maybe you rework that pose, and then you start kind of factoring in other stuff. And so what's he going to have? He's probably going to have dang, see, we got to pencil that in. I want his hand, I want him to have a key ready over here. So maybe he's got his hand over here. And look at the comparison between the hand size, right? See how huge this is? And how small that's going to be. That's what I was saying about you're really forcing yourself to kind of draw a little bit. You're forcing those ideas, how you're forcing yourself not to autocorrect because your mind wants to do that so bad, especially at the beginning. I mean, that does kind of go away eventually, right? The more you do it. But I want his hand to be kind of spread out, he's got a key in it, right? Is that what they call it? Key, the key blast, the chi. All right, that's something like that. I want this finger. I forgot. You also got to take into fact that the middle finger is the longest. All right, and then he's got little fat pads under the hands. See, it's funny because one thing ties into the next, to the next, to the next. I'm thinking about the line I was talking about, a little bit of a thicker line. I might even make it thicker than that. Thinking of overlapping. I'm thinking of a general perspective of things getting smaller. You're thinking about anatomy, right, with the stuff in the arm and the shoulder. Think about cloth a little bit. How cloth is moving. Maybe it's gonna, as he's flying, there's air pockets kind of making this wiggle around as well. So it's not gonna be, the gravity's gonna be kind of going to the right a little bit as opposed to I don't know, and then you're trying to make it look better. And then you're thinking about the backhand over here and stuff like that. And now we're thinking about line. Well, I guess we're thinking about line as well. And then after this, I don't know if I'm going to shade this or not. I might shade it a little bit. A little bit. Nothing extreme. But I do want to shade it a bit. So we're going to throw a line over here. Oh, yeah. Then I got to think of the hands. Dang. It's a lot to think about. But it is a labor of love, right? This stuff is fun. I understand the ego gratification of it. I get that. Where you're like, oh, you can get it. You're like, oh, cool. I can do something that other people can't. But don't get wrapped into that, because I think that's a great way to fail. I think when you get too, you can maybe have that on the side, but when you get too wrapped into the ego portion of it, it really, I think it kind of, like I said, it slows you down. It slowed me down. I guess it just depends who you are, but it slowed me down a lot, because the motivation should be to have fun and learn. As goofy and played out and generic as that sounds, let me think of another way to say it. You basically, if you enjoy the process of this whole thing, it just goes quicker and you become better. You become fascinated at learning it. You're like, oh wow, that's really fascinating. I can't wait to try that out. Like, oh, I wonder how this would work, right? You become kind of like a tester in this. Okay, so cool. I got his hand there, and I'm gonna wait a little bit, and then I'm gonna erase that line over there. I'm not going to be on live very long today. I'm trying to work on a drawing program, and I'll tell you guys about it on here as long as Twitter's still here. As long as TikTok's still here. Put the nails right there. But I'm working on a drawing program to kind of like, all the stuff I'm talking about, what I want it in a format, which is just simple videos you play on your own, but I want it from beginning to end, not just segments, I want it beginning to end, like this is what you got to learn, or I'll teach you, and then this is what you got to practice to just draw stuff out of your head for fun on your own, right? And that you can use for anything. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm trying to work on a program to just get that on. I mean, I'll still go live and I'll still do stuff like this because I think it's entertaining and fun, and it's good for me as far as like verbalizing what I'm saying. There's a lot of like good happening every direction. It's true. I think he should have claws, but he doesn't. He has like these long, they're like, I wouldn't say they're even, I think they're regular fingernails, but I thought the same thing. I felt like he should have claws as well, but I don't think he does. Yeah, because I was looking at that too. I was looking closer at him. I think there's a point. Do they ever draw him with claws? I don't think they do, but he's got fangs though. So, true. Thank you. He's got fangs though for sure. The Namek race is pretty awesome. I mean, it was like he was totally my favorite, and still is my favorite character. He's basically like the Knuckles of Dragon Ball. You know what I mean? Like Knuckles from Sonic, which I think Sonic arguably took a lot of ideas from Dragon Ball, like Super Sonic and, that sort of thing. I'm pretty sure. But he is very similar to Knuckles in which that he was like the main bad guy initially, and then he's no longer like, he's just kind of like a friend, but he's not longer like, like he's not as powerful as the main guys. And then I guess Shadow is like Vegeta, right? But it's really fun. It's fun to kind of compare those two. I know there's been fan art and stuff of people comparing them directly. It's kind of interesting. All right, let's get into a little bit of Shadow here. So we're going over here, and it's probably gonna be a little bit of shadow from his shirt, casted a little bit on his chest. Don't want to overdo it. I think it might be a little much, so I'm gonna make it taper off. I don't want like a full-blown line all the way down. I just want to taper off a little bit going up here. I think I might make that the theme of this, actually, of these lives. I'll probably go over a drawing, and I'll go over everything that I'm applying to it, right? Which I'm sure people do, but I want to go over every single, like, okay, you apply this involves this involves foreshortening, this involves anatomy, this is, So I'm trying to get better at that, so you know at what mode I'm changing into, right? I'm going over this right now. Like, right now I'm thinking of, like, a hint of cross-hatching, right? Like these little lines. I do this a lot, by the way, and you guys have seen this in other lives, but I'm throwing these little, like, these little lines are trying to follow the form of this outfit that he has, meaning, like, oh yeah, it's like a slightly curved surface, so it's my little line's going to curve that way as well. So, yeah, great stuff. Anyways, that's it for the live. I just kind of came out for a little bit because I haven't been here in a few days. I want to come on every day, but like I said, I'm going to actually, just cut out early because I really want to work on that program I was talking about. I want to work on that drawing program. So, well, yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate it, guys. But thank you so much. See you later, man. Yeah, thank you, guys.